I was like, this doesn't mean anything, mate. Like, it literally doesn't mean anything. Anyway, we are getting ready for the very first match of Group B. But guys, this is a very big one. It is the GSL vs. the World Finals of 2018. It is the BlizzCon Finals of 2018. It is Serral versus this man on the left top side, our Korean Protoss, the Shield of Ire, Stats.
And spawning over in the southeast side, he is known as the Night King. Playing as the Red Zerg, it is Serral.
All right, Drogo, quick question. Do you like or dislike the nickname Night King?
I think it's cool. I think
yes,
he wears it well.
I agree, but a lot of fans seem to disagree. Like, I spoke a little bit with Loco about this. Like, they're like, I really don't like the nickname Night King. It's so cringe. I think it's cool. I think it fits Serral.
I think it fits Serral, but...
Season 8.
Would some little bitch come over and kill Serral in one stab? Absolutely freaking not, Kevin.
Ben, spoilers, jeez.
But Kevin, it's over, it's done. It's dead in my heart. The thing is, Serral is way better than him in any universe nowadays.
Oh, okay. But I agree, but pre-Season 8, I really thought the nickname was excellent for him. Especially, like, if I think of Finland, I think of, like, kind of a cold place, you know, it's snow, winter is coming. I really thought it was kind of perfect. Anyway, I think this is going to be a very fun best of 3. Now, obviously, guys, this is the very first series of this group. So, you know, no tournament life is on the line. It's nothing too dramatic, but it is 2 of the very best StarCraft 2 players in the world going up against each other. And obviously, quite a bit of story behind it. So I'm excited. Drogo, what are you excited about?
I'm excited about a very weird thing, but the wall of stats is so beautiful.
The wall?
I just love it so much. Because he has the pylon right next to the core, so he's immune to banelings because he has like 4/3 squares to spread his units, and he can build a big building and a small building. I'm about to say, why is that exciting, Drogo? Because if I try to do that, I will misplace the pylon, and then I can't wall anymore, because as you see, it's right next to each other, so we needed this pylon to be exactly here. It's a dumb thing to be excited about, but I don't know. It's very cool.
One question I have is, don't you think this is a tiny bit weaker against like a pure link flood, like a very fast link flood, because there's a lot of surface area on the cybercore?
Yeah, but technically you could move the position of the cybercore when you go for here. Technically it could be at the bottom, so there's less surface area. And then you add another building, but then that would be like AlphaGo level of like walling, the perfect place that only an AI could do. Anyway, it's just a small thing, like it's not really gonna matter anyway. What's exciting though is that Phoenix First. Phoenix First to me is almost unplayed. It's so hard to play Phoenix First, but against Ovi Speed, I guess it's okay.
Guys, I'm not even watching the game right now. I'm just watching Drogo's hand expressions right now. He is so excited to watch Stats play. And talking about squares here, 3 squares and 4 squares, he's excited.
So it's Phoenix first, but Oracle second. Personally, I'm not super happy when I see Overlord speed when I open up with Phoenixes. Like, the one upside is that in general the attack is going to be a little bit later, and that means that real anti-air is later if you want to go a lot of Phoenixes, but we know that that's not the case for Stats. The downside is that it's obviously slightly harder to kill those Overlords that are out on the map because they do have that speed upgrade.
Yeah, but in general, I'm not sure if it is a consensus, but I really like playing against Overlord speed. I just think that anything the Zerg will do is weaker. If you're not scared of playing a big macro game, you should always be happy to see Overlord speed, because then it just means that the Zerg is weaker. Usually you're unhappy to see Overlord speed if you're trying to be a sneaky player, because then obviously the Zerg sees what you do. But I think Stats is very comfortable seeing Overlord speed.
The thing is, Drogo, I am an expert in the low-skill cheese rushes, so yeah, I'm kind of scared of the macro game.
Well, I mean, you don't even cheese, man. You just make Phoenixes.
I know.
Honestly, you can do this kind of thing. The double adept, you can do that because of Overlord speed, because the link speed is not here. So Stats can just use every unit that he has aggressively, and that's the strength, or rather the weakness of Overlord speed, and the strength of what Protoss can do in reaction to that.
So what is the weakness of going for this kind of Phoenix opening with the Oracles behind it? Is there one?
Well, in general, yeah, because Phoenix Oracle just doesn't do anything.
Can we take a look at the natural real quick? Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
Big action.
Natural, Maple?
Of the Zerg, yeah.
So 2 queens and a spore, but actually Stats is ignoring this. He's going for the main. He can live the queen. This is going to hurt for Serral, guys. That's 4 drones going down immediately. I thought it was going to be a tiny bit worse, but...
Beautiful control by Stat. Barely lost any HP on that Oracle. Expertly played.
Oh, wow, and these 2 adepts, they're getting in here like you talked about. He can just be aggressive. He does waste a shot on the queen, but now he's at the drones, and the drones even having to attack here, which is not a good situation for Serral at all.
Serral would say, ay, 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 right now. This is definitely not the start at the finish Zerk is hoping for. The world champ taking a lot of damage here. Oh my goodness, Stats is actually doing a ridiculous amount of damage. Are the Lynx getting anything done on the other side of the map? Can they get a cancel on the Nexus? Okay, now that is good for Serral, but 15 drones, guys?
Okay, if Serral doesn't get the cancel on that third, he's in a really terrible spot. And
He's not.
Stats a little bit too good for that.
Oh, Stats.
I mean, like, that is quite a bit of energy on the force fields, and if he can get these Lings, I mean, it's decent, because it means like any future attempt at anything like this is gone.
But I'm pretty sure that's... You might wonder, hey, why is Stats not ahead in workers after all of this? I'm pretty sure that Stats has a lot of gateway right now. He already has 2 Immortals. Twilight on Forge. I am pretty sure that Stats going to go for a timing here. I would be very surprised if it's just like defensive macro play.
Well,
Like
you should probably
5
build those gateways soon, because as Mapufa showed us, that the main is relatively empty. He is getting a couple of extra gates right there, though, so you are spot on, Drogo. Serral maybe is expecting this. He's scouting as well with his little happy circle. Nidus Serral, what? Okay, well, then he's probably not expecting this, because that doesn't really make too much sense if he's expecting an attack of Stats. Guys, I think Serral's in a little bit of trouble here.
He is in trouble, but like he is going to be making non-stop battle units right now. So if Stats does choose to move across the map and run into an all-in by Serral, it can get very, very dicey from that point on.
Can we take
very
a look
nice
at Eunice?
micro with the Oracle,
Yeah,
by the
that's
way.
sweet. Can we take a look at Eunice Lost Mapu real quick? 1,500 resources have gone on 22 drones, only 400 resources so far down the drain for Stats. Guys, Stats came out to battle here. 1 Oracle does go down there, but this is a very strong start from our Koreans.
And not only that, this Oracle saw the lack of gas in the main base, so Stats is... It's like, okay, you're all-inning me, I don't have to attack, and I have the perfect setup to defend this. There is no world in where Serral can really break this.
He's got 4 Ravagers, so he can break a couple of these force fields, but I'm obviously with you, Drogo. Stats has done so much damage so far that it's going to be very hard for Serral to get too much done. He does get a Nidus in the natural as well. Maybe that one can achieve something. But this Protoss army, even without too many shield batteries here, should be all right.
This is really good force fielding too. Like, just held the army off. He was also producing like 3 shield batteries while it went off. I mean, Serral needs to break through this. His economy is way worse, and he's really struggling. Stats holds his third base really easily.
Yeah, he's going to try the main, though. A couple of stocks not going to save the day. I kind of like the recall, but don't forget, these units can always go back into the Nidus. And if I'm Serral, I'd probably go back into the Nidus, Serral. I don't think you win this, man.
He's not going back in. He's fighting. He's committing.
The force field just to make him so he can't go back in, so he is committed. I mean, the supplies are incredibly close. Serral's kind of into the third base here, just with a ragtag army. That is a very aggressive Nidus. The supplies are so close, and Stats kind of pulling guys off the probes and stuff too, but he does have Immortals. That Immortal is very low, though.
Yeah, that cross and ball was actually really sweet there by Serral, but Stats got money, guys. All he needs is like 10 Zealots, and he should be able to wipe them in quite soon. So I love how Serral keeps corrosive viling. That's the second time he does it in this fight. This is way closer than it should be.
Oh my
way
gosh.
Closer.
All the Immortals are falling down. He has the Immortal Barrier still up, so he does survive with that. But the Corrosive Biles have been super clutch. The Oracles come back. The Queens are dealing with them somewhat, but the supplies, they've been 100 for the last minute or so. I love that stasis, by the way. Anything that pops out there is going to get stasis.
I mean, Stats is still sitting on that Drogo bank, though, and as soon as you spend that Drogo bank, you're going to be more than fine.
You're the only one on this entire building that can't make this joke.
Why?
I mean, because sometime when you stream, you also have a bit of a Drogo bank, but you also have 3 Stargates. So like you blink the Stargates, it's easiest to spend your money.
I will absolutely never deny that I have a Drogo bank myself. Don't worry about that, mate.
I love that Drogo's instant reaction was to look at you deadpan. And just like, no, mate, not you. Of all people, not you.
All right, well, that's a lot of Zealots. The Immortal count is at 3 at this point. I mean, Serral, guys, is still down 10 workers. That's not where Zerk is supposed to be, with another Nidus going up in the main base. Serral is obviously trying to desperately make something happen. It shouldn't be possible.
I tell you what, though, if he kind of gets surrounded out in the middle of the map here, this isn't a good position, and Stats knows that and falls back, which is a really good move by him. I tell you what, that's a lot of Zerg marching at him, but really good force fields, and yet again, these Immortals just getting juicy shots on all those roaches. And Stats, yeah, he still has a decent bank, but he's making a lot of good units. He's getting Blink behind this too. What do you guys think about that?
He should spend his money, that's what I think. His life would be a lot easier if he actually does that. Those are some good force fields, though. I like that he's pulling back the Zealots there as well. With these Immortals, I mean, Serral is not just committed, guys. He's all in. Serral needs to win the game in the next minute, and it really doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
No, I mean, Serral's trying to make everything happen that he can, but Stats, honestly, he's played a really good game. One Immortal does get picked off, but now the Zealots kind of charging in. This is one really good thing about Stats this game. He just keeps on pulling back those Zealots so they don't overcommit. And that's the one thing Serral's hoping for at this point, that his opponent overcommits in some way, but Stats, he just isn't.
Look at the amount of resources invested in that little triple tech over there. It's 3 very expensive upgrades all right next to each other. Wow. You're still being honest. I think Stats might actually almost be worried.
Wow.
That is like, is there a follow-up here? It's like, no, that was it, Stats. Like, that actually was it. And we're going to go straight back into game 2 between Hearthstone and Creator. Drogo, tell us what you see.
Well, the red player has a lot more of the protect units than the blue player.
Wow, hey, that's a massive victory for Hearthstone, guys, if he gets the job done there. And definitely seems like it. He could wipe in a couple of Archons if he has a Templar Archives, which he does. Wow, guys, Hearthstone, if he gets the W here, which it absolutely seems like, he's up 6. Hey, Kev, can you show us units lost real quick so we can maybe kind of figure out what happened?
Oh.
He's pausing the game to show you guys.
Oh, yeah, like I give him a ... 2, pausing when I'm 50 supply behind or getting murdered.
I would love to, I don't know if it's possible to get a Shift L here, but I would love to see the amount of units that went down, because that could give us maybe a little bit of a history of this game. But guys, this is a massive victory for Hearthstone, and I mean, for Creator, I don't want to say it's 100% over, but it kind of feels like it.
I mean, that was the most ballsy Immortal, maybe the most drunk Immortal he's been at one too many HomeStoryCups. Like, yeah, he just charged in there, but yeah, look at that resources lost tab. I mean, like, where's his natural? Did he even make one this game? We have no idea what happened.
I think
Cannon
died,
Rush?
Yeah.
What if it was a Cannon Rush?
No, he died with gas being taken.
No.
So apparently Hearthstone took his natural, and Hearthstone moves into the third. Just has way too much, and Hearthstone, he's looking to solidify his position and advancing in that group.
That means that Hearthstone is now 4-2, guys, and that means that Creator falls to 2-4. Not 100% over, I don't want to call it before it is, but I think that Creator is out. Hearthstone is not guaranteed to be true yet, but it's starting to look very, very good, unless Snoot keeps pulling off more miracles.
You know, we've been... Snoot on the ladder recently, like, you know, he definitely took a bit of a dive in regards to his, like, skill level when you play against him, because Snoot of old, like a year or two ago, he was tough, he was a competitor, especially back in the old days, he was one of the best Zergs. And the fact that he's come back and looking pretty strong, like, no, I did not expect him to beat Clem, but no, I definitely didn't expect him to beat Raynor either. That is, it's amazing from Snoot.
Anyway, can we talk a little bit about where Stats played that last game?
Yes.
Because I thought it was like the theory executed to perfection. So there's several things on this map. As I said, like with overload speed, you really have less defenses as Zerg. And one of the things that I like to do is just be very greedy. But Stats already went for the more how to execute plan, or just getting Phoenixes on Oracle, because on this map, if you go to one base and there's too many queens, you can just go to the dead space and go to another base with less defenses. That's actually what Showtime tried to do against Elaser, but he had a lot less success. He just lost a lot of Oracle, didn't kill that many drones. Stats, he shows up, kills 4 drone, doesn't lose any HP on the first Oracle. So then when the third Oracle shows up, he goes to the natural, kills a metric ton of drones, doesn't lose an Oracle. It was just like perfect execution.
I thought all of that was amazing, and I totally agree, but I think what was even better was the timing of the Adepts. The Lynx were on the other side of the map. They were too late to cancel the Nexus, and then 2 Adepts showed up at a completely exposed third base, and that's like 5, 6, 7 more drones for Stats. And at that point, like, yeah, losing 6, 7, 8 drones against Oracles, that really stings, but games don't end there. But if you then lose 7 on top of that against 2 Adepts, yeah, that's where it becomes incredibly painful for Zerg.
Absolutely. And spawning over in the second map of this series on Thunderbird in the top left as the red Zerg, it is Serral. Give it a go, Drogo. Give it a go.
At the bottom right, the Shield of Fire, the guy that played amazing last game with a very pretty wall, it is Stats.
Now, obviously, guys, we are worried about Serral. This is only the very first best of 3 of his entire tournament. He's going to have 7 best of 3s in this massive round-robin group. So if Serral loses here, it's no man overboard. But what it does is it ends a little streak. Obviously, since he lost in winter, he came back to WCS. He won the Challenger, then he won the actual WCS circuit of spring, then he won another Challenger. So Serral has already been on a nice little winning streak for quite some time. If he drops this best of 3 here, that is the first official loss for Serral since he lost against Raynor.
And I know there's a lot of people out there like, oh, he hasn't played a Korean, though, in a long time. And it's kind of true. He hasn't, like, really gone up against a Korean. And, I mean, when you talk about Korean Protosses, I know people have talked about stats underperforming and such, but he's such a, like, solid player overall. Like, a lot of Protosses look at stats as, like, he is the pinnacle of how to play Protoss. And that game before was exactly how you should. Like, everything
awesome.
made sense. If he really did take Drogo's tell as, oh, Overlord speed, that means he's going to have less queens, less spores, less available resources. And he went up to 3 oracles, which is a bit unusual, right? But he utilized it super duper well. It looked like he was going to push out. He didn't. Whether he realized that Serral was going to play very, very aggressive, but it looked like he made a lot of the right moves and kind of knew what Serral was going to do in advance.
Drogo, you went to both tournaments, but Winter was after WSG, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. All right, just make sure. No, totally agree, Ben. That was a flawless game from Stats, and even though Stats is probably the biggest sweetheart in this scene, I'm sure that if there's anybody he would love to beat, it's probably that Serral guy who defeated him in 2 very important and big finals. And I mean, that's the way to do it, Stats. That was a phenomenal first game. I think every Protoss player will look at that as like, yep, that's the way that a close to flawless, at least early game and mid game looks like. He's going for the Twilight Council and the Robo now. Drogo. Obviously looks like a potential Dark Templar
That's going to
drop.
be a free gate DT drop. That's the one thing, actually.
Free gate?
Free gate, yeah, that's the thing that the Koreans do. They do DT drop with free gate.
Okay.
And I don't really understand why. What does it do? You don't have to spend as much time cutting your probes, so you have more money in general, because you only make free gates. But then when do you give up for that? Oh, you also, your DTs are faster, I forgot to mention, because you only do free gates, they're a bit faster. But obviously, if you only have 3 DTs, you can't make 2 Archon with that. So that's the big downside of it. So I'm really curious to see how it performs compared to the usual DT drop that we like to do in Europe.
We talked a lot about what Stats did great in game 1, and obviously his control was... Wow, that's a fast lair, by the way. Jeez. Guys?
This is also one of the greedier maps that you can play on, though, right? Like, given that there's only 1 entrance into your 3 bases, getting set up and steady.
Yeah. I feel like this is too fast
I
for
mean,
a
that
macro
Roach
game.
Warren's super fast, too, because
Yeah.
normally you only need to make that, like, you know, the late 3-minute mark.
I feel Queen Knight is here, and like, even though
I would be very surprised if that's the case.
They're so fast.
Yeah, you need a fast overseer, because these days DTs are out very fast.
But it's like a 335, 340. Okay, this was like 320 or something?
Like, I think with 3 gates, the fastest you can get DTs is 415. But obviously the Prism, he wanted to be sneaky with it, but no, it's spotted.
Good job there by Serral, obviously scouting it. 2 extra Overlords on the way, so he's not going to be supply blocked.
And a super fast observer behind all this. So, like, you don't pull all your resources into the 4 DTs.
Yeah, because when you have 4 gates, you don't have money to do for the ops, but see, like, so it's a 420 DT drop, but only 3 DT.
I guess then you pull back, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is what you do, yeah. You send 1 DT to natural, 1 to the 3rd base, then the Prism goes into the main for the 3rd DT. It's very good against people cutting spores.
I tell you what, though, this is a lot of units by Serral.
Yep.
This Overseer is done at the perfect time as well to hold this off. Then realizing, he has to defend the natural for a moment there with that Overseer finishing up. It's very nice by Serral. Clinically done.
Yep.
Surgery, Kevin.
Surgery. We'll go back into droning right after this. Stats going to go up to 3 bases, but obviously this is already so much green. That's a lot of Overlords, by the way, on the way
Yeah,
from
that's
Serral.
some Elaser Overlord. Some.
You're the only person in this building that can make that joke, Drogo.
Oh, well.
But yeah, so far right now. So the attack of Stats was meant to deal a little bit of damage, and inadvertently it forced out a lot of units and such. Stats pulls back a little bit, gets the 4th DT out, and now has the Archons on the way. But now Serral, yeah, he definitely had to make some battle units, but now he's droning up like a little bit of a madman, and he feels pretty comfortable in this game.
Yeah, especially because Stats didn't take as fast as a 3rd base that you could with DT drop. Like, he waited to get some Immortals out, so typically you want this 3rd base to already being done. It's not, and he has to make a battery, so I think if I'm Serral, I'm pretty comfortable right now.
A drop alert as well for Serral. Obviously, it is important for the Finny Circ that he stays clean here and doesn't take too much damage. Good job there, healing those roaches up as well, dropping the transfuse in time. Okay, we're going to get a couple of links perhaps into the main base. That could be fun.
Yeah.
I always like this kind of play ever since I saw it in the Dark GSL final. You know, it looked really, really cool. In fact, that Serral's utilizing it here while also just stabilizing his economy is really cool.
I love how slow it is, though. It's like,
I'm coming in for a drop.
It's going to be big. Wow, Infestation Pit goes down as well for Serral.
Yeah, as a guy that plays a lot of DT drop, I think the Swarmers follow-up is one of the strongest that you can do. But this is an undefended Archon drop, hello?
Decent pull away. I mean, losing 3 drones kind of sucks, but this is a little bit of inadvertent damage being done. But
I do like
Stats
that
is
though.
holding
Both
pretty well.
players harassing each other, and Stats is obviously on top of his defense. He didn't lose a single probe there, maybe 1 probe, but at the same time he was able to get a couple of drones and a lot of lost mining time. So Serral, Stats showing us that he's up to point.
And look, we have a Nidus on the way too, so he's getting the +1. And yes, Swarm Host will be the weapon of choice for Serral.
I love Nidus on this map. I think Nidus is very underutilized, but to be fair, on map like Kairos and Cyber Forest, you have just to walk a little bit, then you're in the face of the Protoss. On this map, there's a lot of very amazing spots for Nidus. You can put it here to get to the third. You can put one close to the natural. Even on top, you see on top, you can get a Nidus right here. On it will reach the natural nexus. There's a ton of location that the Zerg can hit that are very dangerous for Protoss.
All right,
this is a big push from Stats though, coming forward. And I mean, it's hitting at a pretty good time before the Swarm Host can take effect.
yeah.
No?
Can we take a look at the army of Serral real quick? How many roaches? 15 roaches, 5 ravages at this point. I mean, this actually is indeed kind of a rough moment. But since there is no fort base to kill, do you really want to run up that ramp though, if your Stats right now?
Yeah, like maybe another player would have went on the ramp to try to kill, but not Stats. I know he hears the Nidus sound. The locusts are coming in, and this is so dangerous.
Do you
And he's
recall?
searching for it too. He used his recall not too long ago on the War Prism, right? Like maybe he doesn't have it in time.
Good point, Ben. That's a lot of damage. A couple of good force fields do go down. So a few of these roaches and ravages are trapped in the front. Well done. I mean, the Locust did quite a bit of damage. I don't think the Nexus died. Looking at the mini-map, the Nexus is still there. What did they shoot at?
I tell you what, though, that was a really good reapplication of those force fields, trapping a few units after the Biles landed.
Yeah, Serral moved out because he thought that Stat went home, but no, Stat was just chilling on top of the ramp. And it's not that many Swarm Hosts.
He added 3 more on as well, so it is going to be 8. I mean, that's a number you have to respect any day of the week. But
that's cool.
This is super nice by Stats. Yep. Okay, it's really nice that Serral didn't land them on those Immortals, but Stats is ready. He's not taken any damage from any of this so far from Serral.
Might lose a Stalker or 2, but I'm with you, Ben. I thought that was a really cool play there by Stats. He's still down in supply. Obviously, just needs to get an army a little bit bigger. Got a couple of those Archons out. Archons can be very useful against Locusts because they do like to clump up. He's getting Blink now as well. I don't like this army that much of Stats, though.
Yeah, he made a bunch of Stalkers, which are honestly pretty useless.
He makes 8 more, Drogo.
I don't understand this. I think he will have to hit a very fast timing if he's committing to this many Stalkers. I guess they're good to like chasing down on Zerg army, but defending against big wave of Locusts is going to be very hard.
That seems to be his plan, though. The way he's putting them, it's kind of like anti-air, like he's trying to gun down those Locusts.
I'm actually having some flashbacks of like when you have so many Stalkers that you can just land them on the edges of where the Locusts arrive, then you blink away the Stalker to defend. That's cool to defend, but then you need a plan to actually move across the map and win, and that's where the Stalker really struggled.
The thing is, though, Serral behind all this is teching up. He's got his 4th base now. I mean, like when you commit to Swarm Host, you're not really going to be losing too many battle units, and he's just going to be stocking up on his supply, right, and his bank.
And especially on this map, is one of the rare maps when you can just make a wall of spines that act because there's only one place to attack.
Right,
so it's much easier to defend your 4th base.
So behind this, Serral, he's getting Hive, he's getting Aspire. So probably the next evolution of his tech will be Broodlords, which will be extremely hard to deal with for Stats with what he has so far.
Blink is still not done, and that means that those Stalkers are in quite a bit of trouble. 2 Stalkers do fall immediately. Good job there by Stats, saving at least the other 2, because without Blink, that can really be quite tricky. But I love this little contain, and it's what Drogo said. Okay, you get a bunch of Stalkers to deal with the Locusts, right? Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. He's done an alright job, but where is he taking this army from here? Like, you can't be stuck on Stalkers forever when you want to max out, but it almost seems like that's his plan. He just wants to max out on Stalkers.
One of the nice things, I guess, is guys, even if Serral, I mean, like, hey, the Blink Stalker can shift his army really easily, and then even if Serral gets a Broodlord, I guess the Stalker can just blink under them. So if Stats keeps having these amazing trades, yeah, I'll look at this. Serral realizes it, makes the Baneling Nest. He realizes that he needs a more powerful units to be able to deal in the mid-game against the Stalkers. And he's going to try to get a bunch of Banelings to survive this attack.
I like the way both of them are playing it, right? Because Serral's army doesn't really get too much stronger if he stays on this tech. So maybe Stats' mental state is like, okay, if I max out with what I have against what he has, and I keep the Swarm Host count at bay, I'm going to be in a pretty good situation.
But I don't think Stats can attack into this.
He will. I feel he's almost all in, man. I think Stats wants to win the game here. I really think that his plan is to win the game right here, right now. The Korean Protoss up 1-0. He's losing a lot of probes at home. Clearly not paying attention because he wants to execute this fight as good as possible. And he has been picking up quite a few roaches, guys. Another forward blink there. Gets a few more Ravages as well. I mean, the supplies don't look that good, but it takes a little while before those Locusts can fire again.
Wow, such aggressive blinks here. And the thing is, he's attacking when the Swarm Host waves are off cooldown here. So this, or rather on cooldown. So this is nothing by Serral. He's got 33 Roaches in production, but he can't hold this fourth right now, despite being so far ahead in supply.
He's trying to get the Prism. Can he get it?
The Queen! Oh my goodness, both the Queens died. That's massive. Keeping that Prism alive. Stats is actually starting to look very, very good here. Those Swarm Hosts are completely useless. All of the Locusts were just fired. That Knight is going to get taken out. The drones are being pulled here for Serral. Can Serral keep his winning streak alive, or is Stats finally going to get some revenge for GSL vs. the World and BlizzCon? It's starting to look like it. Serral is in trouble, even though a lot of the Stalkers have been going down.
Look at these supplies. They're so close throughout all of this fight. Stats is Warp Prism microing like a god, but Serral's working out is absolutely gone. But Stats has cleaned up. His army has disappeared. These supplies are so incredibly close. But the thing is, Serral's got nothing behind this. He has to go.
That's the number one question. How many Swarm Hosts does Serral have? That's the most important question.
One.
That is not good. If that army was Swarm Hosts, I would actually give the edge to Serral to move across the map on win. But Roaches against a Prism on Immortals, we all know how the story
those Immortals are very... Yes, we do, but those Immortals are very low. So it's very important that Stats doesn't drop the ball here. But guys, 51 probes, a couple of sentries as well. Stats knows that he's done an incredible amount of damage there. He picked off the fort. He picked off so many drones. All he needs to do is just survive a little bit longer. And then Stats will finally get his offline victory over Serral.
And Serral doing everything he can here. Even that one Swarm Host trying to launch the Locust here. He's marching into Stats, but Stats just great force fields. He's holding on with everything. Good Warp Prism micro, and that is a lot of Immortals. Does take a few biles in the face there, but